To be completely frank with you, during my career working with Fortune 500 companies, I have personally designed, presented, and observed countless business presentations all over the U.S. These have included the one-on-ones and large conferences, small groups to board of directors, teleconferences, and of course webinars. But of all these types, webinars, which should be the most effective and interesting and compelling, are in fact the most boring and just simply terrible. Even when the content is good, many attendees arrive late and drop off before the end because obviously they have very low expectations. So why was Steve Jobs such a successful business presenter? It was because he understood exactly what needed to be accomplished from the presentation. It was twofold. Number one, confirming Apple's position as the industry thought leader and himself, and building a community of raving fans. Now my question to you is, what's it going to take to brand you and position you as an industry thought leader? The following clip will share a brief explanation of each of the 24 new rules of webinar presentations which I wrote. And at the end of this video, you can order my entire publication free of charge, and I want to include a special offer just for you. With about 59% of decision makers for many business services attending a webinar at least once a month, the problem is not that we can't get plenty of attendees. The problem is that we're not connecting with different types of decision makers and key influencers who are in attendance. You know, webinars need to step up because they deliver on so many different levels. They can generate leads, increase brand awareness, build loyalty, drive website visits, drive offline business, and grow that golden in-house database for future business as well as current business. Honestly, do any of these terms describe your current presentation? Is it passionate, enthusiastic, energetic? Is it compelling and strong? Is there emotion to it? Is it even outrageous? Is there a sense of urgency? Does every slide confirm your leadership? So when designing an effective presentation, it needs to be relevant, impactful, and memorable. When you're designing each slide, focus in on the one concept that you want them to remember. New rule number one, make your promise in the first slide. In our first slides, we promised how to position you as an industry thought leader and attract a growing community of raving fans through the 24 new rules of webinar presentations. Your promise is why they're attending. They need to learn something new, and it's of value to their company and also of value to their jobs. Tell them how you're going to help them get ahead of the curve. New rule number two, scrap most of the housekeeping. Start the presentation on time. Get right into it. Begin with your promise. Repeat the major points throughout the presentation. No one's going to miss anything. Be respectful for those who are on time. A lot of this housekeeping stuff can be done in an email prior to the presentation. Be a passionate presenter. We talked about Steve Jobs. He was not only passionate, but he was extremely well prepared. As we said before, his two goals were confirming Apple as the industry thought leader and creating the raving fans. But why do we call customers fans? Fans are extremely loyal, they're extremely forgiving, they buy more, they spend more and pay more, and they love to talk about you. Can you imagine your logo is so well loved that people will tattoo it on their bodies? Sure, it happens. Harley Davidson. New rule number four, it's all about the customer's success. So when you're designing your presentation, every comment, chart, bullet, and image needs to get this point across. So ask yourself, as you are designing each slide, will this help make our customers more successful? Now this is great. The future of marketing is leadership, not yelling at enough people. It's about leading a tribe. Seth Godin. New rule number five, connect with women, the number one buyers of business services. Women are educated buyers. They're looking to connect with a trusted advisor, and they're all about service and relationship, and price is secondary. Women are in ranking positions in the largest companies to the smallest companies, and plus 10.6 million of them own companies. She's dedicated to finding the perfect answer, and men are really more transaction oriented. But she's interested in creating a relationship, and every place women go, they make connections. They are a jackpot of referral business. New rule number six includes stories. Stories greatly impact your prospects. They should not be underestimated. Whoever tells the best story and tells it best will win. What about stories? What's in a story? Stories can take a complex idea and turn it into something simpler and much more memorable. Your customers have stories, and how many dramatic stories can your salespeople come up with that end up in a win-win? Share a story about a mess a customer was in and how your company came in and cleaned it up. The story is about the solution and the customer. The hero is the brand, but the customer is the star. Rule number 7, design to wow. Steve Jobs said that you know a design is good when you want to lick it. Use lots of color and colorful language. No, I don't mean the 4-letter kind. Most of the time, marketers just present product features without engaging the prospect with the meaning of their solution. Effective communications involves the senses as well as the imagination. New rule number 8, add video, and you're adding wow and energy. And you can do more than one video, maybe even do 3 at 20 to 30 seconds each, every 10 to 20 slides apart. Your presentation will not only have a lot more energy, you'll really grab the viewer's attention. And because you're uploading your video on YouTube, it can also go viral. Now, video doesn't have to be super professional, just good resolution, clear audio, and lighting. Real people in your video really works, and it adds a lot more credibility, like in this example.
An innovative B2B marketing campaign in the last 6 months. I've worked for a while with a company named Door Components. They make steel doors and frames. How much more industrial can you get than that? I mean, they make product in this country to sell for these steel doors and frames nationwide. We went from no marketing to creating a website for them, SEOing the website, creating a newsletter. They went from 100 people on their email list to 12,000 in 3 months. They're reaching out into the marketplace, selling their steel doors and frames that go up in these big high-rise buildings. Most of the competitors in their industry are down 40 to 50% with this economy. This particular company is selling more doors and frames than they've ever sold historically, and they're 25 years old because digitally they went from 0 to 90 miles an hour in less than 12 months.
Now, new rule number 9 actually is kind of similar to number 8. It's about imagery, and imagery generates memory, so people only remember about 10% of what they hear after 72 hours. Not very good. But retention skyrockets to 65% when a picture is added. Now think of what happens when video is added. But look at the pictures here. They need to be relevant to your presentation. They need to be relevant to the viewer and the major points you're trying to get across. Do not use clip art. Do not use cartoons. Always use photographs. Number 10, if you're going to have a co-host, invite a special guest star to make your webinar a VIP event. Your co-host could be from a partnering company who is a recognized thought leader who could also bring their fans, or perhaps one of your biggest customers from a well-known company that people will recognize. But unless this is an educational or a training webinar, don't let the tech guy into the room. Here's how to boost interest and excitement in 5 ways. New rule number 11, deliver breaking news. Share your considerable knowledge. People love to hear success stories. Position your distinctiveness and share what the future holds for them. Remember, these are things that raving fans want from a thought leader. Now, interestingly, the top 5 ways companies generate leads are through newsletters, press releases, case studies, white papers, and webinars. But what makes it interesting is that the first 4 here can all be included in your webinar, which make it much more interesting, diverse, compelling, and exciting. Now, this is not as obvious as it seems in new rule number 12, to be inclusive, to talk to 100% of the qualifieds who are attending your webinar. You've got 3 categories. You have those that have immediate needs, you have those who are curious learners, and those who are future deciders. You want to create compelling content that is targeted to each segment of your audience. It's very likely in your company that your sales and marketing people believe that the war for new customers is only against the direct competition, and they are really missing the boat. This is because nearly 60% of qualified leads do not buy from the competition. They fall victim to the status quo. They aren't buying from anybody. And I have a way to help you get them off the fence. As I stated at the beginning, you can order my free publication on the 24 new rules of webinar presentations, and this will share more ideas and in more detail that you can immediately use. Rule 13, the presenter matters. You are really 102% of the webinar's success. Create a script, rehearse a lot, record and listen to your voice. Creating a script is important because it keeps your presentation on course and faster paced. As you rehearse, keep tweaking the presentation though, and the script. Remember, less is more when making the maximum impact and helping people remember what you said. After hearing your voice, you might be thinking you're speaking too fast or too slow, so make adjustments. When you speak too fast, though, you are much more likely to make vocal typos. And another thing, use plain everyday talk, like you're talking to kids with ADD. I mean, seriously, try to use a minimum of tech talk and corporate brochure terminology. It really de-energizes your presentation and people start to lose their focus. New rule number 14, killer charts versus charts that kill your presentation. So how's the best way to remember stuff, especially complicated stuff? You do it through a strong emotional story or experience or even a bold statement. A complicated chart usually only delivers, okay, what was the point of that? Major points told through an emotional statement or story is how to get people to remember the stuff they really need to make a decision in your favor. Here's a case in point. This chart is hard to remember or even pay any attention to at all. Eye-crossing charts like this one makes it difficult to remember any specific point at all. This chart was simply just trying to prove that this company has too many phone calls caused by customer complaints. Not very exciting, no sense of urgency here. But this slide makes the big impression. 7.8 million unhappy customer service calls last year cost us $19 million. Here you have projected real news, a clear message, a big problem exposed, and a sense of urgency. Now you've been hearing me talk about emotions. According to recent brain research, emotions are the most influential factor in decision making. This is especially true in the marketplace. Do emotions influence your decision making and your job? They certainly do with your customers and your prospects. Now here's some more heresy here. New rule number 15 is listen and interact. That means stop talking and ask for questions. Invite feedback frequently throughout the presentation. Perhaps every 10 slides or so, ask for questions, and even do the outrageous and stop the presentation to answer one of them. This is another way to inject energy and interest, and this is what I call real interaction. Rule 16, failure is an option. When it comes to designing your webinar, test fast, fail fast, make adjustments. Collaborate with others about new ideas and test them. Break old ways, learn fast. This is about making each and every webinar better than the last one, and this is your opportunity. Rule 17, execute or else your presentation will remain mediocre. The old rules are just updating the old presentation. You might consider scrapping it and starting over again. You need to seriously infuse it with thought leadership, personality, relevance, and enthusiasm. This is about making every slide about your customer's success. So begin again if you have to with the 3 or 4 major points that are at the foundation of your presentation. This is the real reason people are attending your webinar. Now, maybe I'm speaking mainly to men here, but new rule 18, it's okay to ask for directions. And the new rule is you want to work across the organization to get all the help and content you need. Take advantage of internal collaboration. Talk to everybody and anybody that can offer big input, useful data, case studies, stories, anything that's going to help make it much more interesting and relevant. This includes talking to the people from sales, marketing, product, customer service, even the finance department. New Rule 19, the sequel, Return of the Fan. Look at your database of past webinar attendees and create a sequel to the webinar they attended. Your sequel webinar can include many of the same elements as the original, but with new information, updates, and videos. Just give it a facelift. Think of your webinars in terms of a series. It plays very well into the sales process and enables prospects to review past webinars you've stored on your website. But also remember, post your webinars on YouTube to ensure that they go viral. Well, here's a little gun control I think we can all agree on. Instead of using lots of bullets, pretend you have only one gun and you've got a few bullets to hit the bullseye. Many presentations have slides that might include 5 to 10 bullet points on each with a lot of words. Did you see or remember how many bullets I've used so far? If you need to make a major point on each slide, break the bullets up into 3 or 4 slides. Remember, the goal is to make your major points memorable and actionable, and this is also accomplished through stories and graphic images. New Rule 21, rehearse, tweak, rehearse. Of course, it's important to rehearse and rehearse frequently, but every time you rehearse, you have the opportunity to tweak your presentation. You can eliminate the stuff that doesn't matter and make it flow much better to maintain that higher level of energy and interest. A little outside the box here, but Rule 22 is feed the brain. Let's do lunch. Offer a $7 cash rebate for lunchtime webinars, but to receive it, they must attend the entire session. So you might end up doing 2 or 3 webinars, one for each time zone, but it allows them to get out of the office, relax, have something to eat, and this will help you boost attendance. Could this also be heresy? Give them a break, cut your webinar to 45 minutes instead of the usual hour plus. Remember, begin on time, get right into it, and also make sure that 45 minutes leaves enough time for questions. They'll appreciate this and they'll remember you. And finally, number 24, break the rules. Scrap the fluff, Get rid of stuff that's not important. Be that passionate, well-prepared thought leader. Use stories and not complicated slides. Connect with women, and make sure every slide is about the customer success. Hey, why not? Here's a bonus new Rule 25. Build your tribe through unique social media groups. Invite attendees to continue learning and interacting about your content and solutions. Facebook is fine, but LinkedIn groups are more for professionals, and it can be a closed group too. Well, this is Mark Alarik, President Sales Overlays. I want to thank you for tuning in today, and allow me to send you a free copy of the 24 New Rules of Webinar Presentations. And I'll also include a free diagnostic of your current presentation. You can reach me on the information listed below. Thank you so much for your time.